All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue with another lightning talk. Before I do, a quick announcement. A young lady lost one of her heels. It's black. If anybody runs across a heel that seems to be missing, I don't know, the matching pair or the person, please feel free to bring it. She is right here, please. All the prayers, okay? All right, with that being said, let me give you guys your next presenter. This gentleman, he leads the decision automation team within Walmart's information security department. His team provides data-driven services that enable risk-based vulnerability management for the company. He is a certified information systems security professional and holds an MBA from Boston University and a bachelor's degree in computer science and management information systems from the University of Arizona. In addition to his current role, he serves on the Arizona Cybersecurity Team Technology Futures subgroup that advises the state on cybersecurity initiatives. With that being said, round of applause for Jesse Tadlock.
Cool. Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. Okay, let's try that one more time. Good afternoon. There we go. Okay, so I ask quite a lot of my audiences. I'm just going to prep you guys right now. I know we have people on Zoom. You're like, I'm sitting in front of my computer. This is embarrassing. But I also expect you to participate the same way, right? So first thing, I need everybody to hold up your right arm. Everybody, come on, there we go. Okay, perfect. Now I know that all of your right arms work. So when I ask questions, a subset of you should be raising your arm. Excellent, thank you. So today, I am going to be talking about information overload. So clearly, I needed the longest title of the bunch. And we're going to be talking really about practical tips. This is something I've really learned over kind of my career, and these are really from my personal experiences, things that I hope are really practical. One of the things I always pride myself when I go to a conference, right? You guys all came out here. It's Saturday. You're on Zoom. It could be, in South Africa, 3 a.m., so I'm very proud of you if you're still watching. And you're spending this time, and how do you know if this was worth all of the time that you guys have spent today? So the personal measurement that I use is really, hey, a year from now, can I look back and say, oh, yeah, that's that thing I learned at SparkCon in 2019, and that's the thing I currently am using today to improve the security of my company, right? So we've had a lot of things coming today between purple teaming, between other techniques, including attack, and machine learning. And depending on your enterprise's size, you may have the funding to be able to do some, you may have the expertise, or you may be looking for practical ways that you can just implement it where you can. I think Katie said it best with that. So today, I'll kind of start off with a quote as well. I read it on the internet, so it must be true. I've not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work. And again, really is central to what I'm talking about. I've spent the last few years dealing with a lot of data. I'm kind of a data geek. A lot of people around here know that. And so I really want to share that experience. So let's go ahead and get started with kind of the first technique. So the first principle I want you guys to learn around is focus on accuracy to drive speed. Now you may say, well, duh, let's be accurate. But I want to kind of talk about a couple different words here, right? Accuracy and precision, which may always, we kind of use those interchangeably, right? But a friend of mine here at Walmart likes to say words mean things. I'm sure a lot of people know who I'm talking about if you work here, but that's very important. So thank you, Mr. Webster. Accuracy is about conforming to the correct answer, right? Precision is around refinement in a measurement. Now, practically, what's that even mean? Well, how many pen testers do I have? We'll start with my first arm raising exercise. Do I have some pen testers? Okay, we got a few. Now, have you guys ever gotten in an argument with somebody about something? Is that a 3.5 or is that a 3.8? Like, how risky is this particular finding that I just found, right? We go back and forth and we'll have those discussions. And oftentimes we'll focus in on trying to find the most precise measurement to be able to express something that we found. But in all practicality, at the end of the day, when we're trying to move with speed to be able to counter the threats that we've been talking about today, when we're trying to move efficiently for our companies, what's most important is that we're accurate, meaning we're hitting the right target, the right bucket consistently, right? I'm very visual, so I kind of think of it like this. If you look at the targets above me, really it's about as you move closer, you want to get closer to the center of that target. We want to hit that consistently. If we have precision, but we're always way off to the right, but we're always agreeing that we're way off, that doesn't really help us much. So always start with that, with accuracy, and that really drives the speed behind your vulnerability management programs. So practically at any size, what does that really mean? So first off, you need to be able to actually set targets for resolving issues. Before coming to Walmart, I worked at a couple other enterprises, both large and small, and in some spots you'd be surprised where people would just say, well, fix it all, right? Hey, this is really important, and get around to it really, really fast, right? But you really have to set some kind of target for people to understand what you're really asking. And you have to make a risk decision for your enterprise about how long you're going to allow people to go without fixing something. If automation is hitting the right bucket, if you can get hey, this needs to be fixed in X number of days consistently with automation, that's always going to end up paying off for you much better than having long, drawn-out discussions to try and get, where within that bucket you might be going at, right? The other thing is accuracy really increases trust for both the security personnel and for the folks that you guys are partnering with, right? When we're working with developers, if they hear one vulnerability and it's rated one way, and then the next time they see what appears to them to be the same thing and it's rated significantly different, they may actually want to have that conversation, which adds that friction, adds that slowdown. Oftentimes, you don't need to rate something even higher to have somebody prioritize and still get it done. If they trust that in security, the reason why you're asking them to fix it in the first place is it really does present a threat or a risk to the company. And so really overall, I hope you guys take that speed's the actual aim alongside that prioritization, that you're really trying to focus on how fast can you fix things and how fast can you secure your environment with the resources you have, no matter whether you're Fortune 1 or if you have a company with 12 people. So the next principle I kind of want to go over is the right info at the right time. Oftentimes we want to make sure everybody has the same information. I can ask you guys, how well do you think a vulnerability report with the ports and protocols and all of the details that you could be presenting is going to go over very well with your CFO? Anybody? No? I heard a laugh in the back. Okay, got one. So really it's about the right information, right? You need to be able to focus and say, okay, for some people, they need to have really, really detailed information. For some people, they need a summary, they need trends, and you need to present it at the right time. If you send that email every single day, if you send it to them sporadically where they don't really think you're going to follow up with them, that timing is going to end up messing them up and not actually have them focus on the cadence that you understand, right? When we're securing enterprises, it's really a long game. Sometimes, that patience, we want to go escalate immediately. But really, it's about that consistency that ends up driving people to go, oh, this security thing is not like a hype, right? It's not something that I just, hear about. It's going to be here, and we have to continue to push it. So practically, what that means is when you're trying to figure out what does the right info at the right time mean, you have to define the use case. When people always tell me, they'll say, oh, I need a chart about this. I say, well, what's going to be done with it? And my favorite answer is, well, it's for awareness, right? Well, awareness typically means I have no idea what that person's going to be doing with that information after I give it to them, right? When you're talking about executives, typically it's because they need to shift resources. We're really asking them to put resources to hire people, to build equipment, to add automation, to be able to secure something. We have to know what that motivation is, or else we're not going to provide them with that data so that they can make that case against any other priority they might have. The other thing you need to focus on is kind of move directly what you can to answers. Here at Walmart, we, instead of presenting a nice bar chart for some people, we give them a grade. We tell them, hey, you're a C-. And, for some that may be okay, but for most people, and even internationally, people tend to go, ooh, an F? Like, really, that's kind of harsh. Like, am I really an F in security? And that drives people to at least continue to know what their next action is, right? We provide them with that, and then what's their actual top action based on our measurements that they can do to move that risk in the environment. Giving them that answer immediately reduces that kind of processing time for each of those individuals and gets them directly to the action that you really want to do, right? Thirdly, we talk about focus on the key factors that are going to be used. When we're living in this world with so much data, right? Everybody loves talking about big data. I love to hear, go AI that, right? Go add machine learning for things, right? And we do have great amounts of data. That also means we have lots of data that's useless. We have some data that's really, really powerful, and we need to be able to figure out what are the key factors that end up driving success, and what are the key factors that drive risk out of the environment, right? What I loved about the Bug Crowd talk today is really thinking about that as an enterprise. That's a way of crowdsourcing your what are the easiest vectors in your company, right? That may be a much cheaper way for your enterprise to be able to focus on where do I need to then focus my more expensive resources to go deep, right? And so you need to focus on what are those key factors. And then lastly, executives really want to hear about how it impacts the company. If you can make things into dollars, that's always the best. I know that's a struggle. But it really is about, does this really impact our company, or what kind of impact will this have for us long term? So remember, it's about the right information at the right time. So the last principle I'll give you is dashboard at your own risk. So we're all engineers, I think mostly in here, or at least have been, or engineers at heart, and we all love bar charts, right? I love, Okay, so I got one. But the big thing is, if one of my favorite expressions is, if you have the world's greatest hammer, everything's a nail, right? So everyone likes to say, well, just present some data, just present this, and people will immediately understand, right? But the truth is that how you do that and what you do it for will either be effective, or you'll end up with a graveyard of things that people know that nobody looks at, right? That's the really important thing. So I'll ask another question. How many of you guys use Reddit every once in a while? Come on, somebody? Okay, I encourage you all to go to the bad chart section of Reddit. It is hilarious. Okay? Now again, I'm a data geek, so obviously I would be the one who's going to the bad charts section of Reddit. But let's just look at Wikipedia, right? Right on Wikipedia, the population of Saskatchewan. That's what, cerulean or something in the bottom right. So, when you present things to people, put yourselves in their shoes. Ask yourself, does this chart look like this to them? Are they looking at this and seeing some breakout by port and going, what's a port? Are we talking about shipping containers? You need to be able to say to yourself, is this chart going to actually communicate something? It kind of ties back to what I was talking about before. If we can skip to answers, all the better. But when we're talking about charting and we're talking about dashboarding, make sure it's even useful and it's not just some eye chart that we want to be able to show, right? So what's that really come to, right? Just because it can be charted doesn't mean it's useful, right? I can chart a whole lot of things. I can show you breakouts by every single factor under the sun. My team, we have the kind of the pleasure of dealing with lots of data, hundreds of columns, dozens of data sources from all of these different places and integrating it, which means that, 80% of it is not the thing I want to actually end up showing people, right? Because it won't really drive any behavior that we need, or it's not going to create value for the company. Those may be great factors for machine learning or for more advanced techniques, but if your enterprise is smaller, oftentimes you just have to really decide what are going to be valuable. The second is choose measurements that drive behavior. So again, I'll poll the audience again. I'm kind of curious, for enterprises that are in here, if how many of you use like total vulnerabilities as a metric that you measure enterprise? Does anybody? Oh, thank goodness. Well, no, you don't. Somebody's raising their arm like, no, we don't. But I'm glad that I got no hand raised on that one, actually. But the reason why I say that is because if you choose a metric like total open issues or something like that, it could really drive behaviors you don't want, right? People are inherently lazy, at least I am. I'll take myself, right? I'm going to look at that metric and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not going to fix the actual highest risk things because those are really, really difficult, right? The things from my bug bounty program that are like, that Bob built 15 years ago are really tough for me to fix. So if you're going to measure me on the total number of things, I'm going to go and just roll out enterprise patches and be done, right? And okay, I did my job, we're happy. And that really doesn't actually affect the risk posture of your company. The other thing it does is it puts you at odds with the folks you're trying to partner with, right? If you have total vulnerabilities, being in security, I can mess that metric up any day. I can open up a responsible disclosure program, and congratulations, we now have a flood of things that come in. I can expand our scanning. We can hire more pen testers. We can do a whole range of things that immediately put us counter to the organization we're trying to partner with. And so what you want to focus on typically is that velocity, going back to speed. If you can talk about average fix or other things like that, you can work with those folks even if the volume increases, even if things fluctuate, to be able to continue to increase that speed together. So kind of bringing it all together, what I really talked about was focus on accuracy to drive speed, having that right info at the right time, and really dashboarding at your own risk. And the big thing I would ask all of you guys today, tying it back to the beginning, is at the end of today, after spending your entire day away from your families, coming to learn and be able to take things away from a security perspective, what one thing are you going to go into the office on Monday morning and actually implement from this conference? Whether it's one thing from my talk, one thing from another talk today, write that down, send yourself an email, do something that 8 a.m., first thing I get, or maybe 9 or 10 a.m., depending on you, first thing I get in the office on Monday that I'm going to say, that's what I'm going to go research, that's what I'm going to go look in. So I'll go ahead and end my talk the way I started, with a quote, and thank you very much. Any questions?
Here you go. Here's one.
So Jesse, you talk about being careful what you put up on your dashboards and how 80% of that data is potentially useless, and you want to make sure that it's relevant. What kind of guidelines have you put in place for yourself and your team to make sure that you're not skewing and leading the C-suite and those decision makers to the decisions you want them to make based off of providing the statistics that prove the points that you want to make?
That is a great question, especially considering my CISO is standing 10 feet from me. So we definitely, I think the big thing is you have to, it goes back to building what's the use case, right? So every single dashboard that my team generates, no matter who it's for, what we're doing, we're saying, what is the specific action that we're going to take with this? When we build a dashboard for like Jerry, for example, and we say, hey, he needs this level of visibility, we have specific actions in mind where we're saying, hey, Jerry, we're giving you this chart because I'm honestly asking you to call the vice president at the top of that bar chart. Like, if you understand, we understand, we've set that up, and you understand what will help us the most, because we're generating this for not only your visibility, but also some direct action, right? And we provide those metrics not only for that visibility, but we've agreed to whatever that action is. For other people, it's about making sure that they have the right statistics to still drive that. What we really, I think in principle, the key thing that we focus on is we want to have people have access to the data. So we do a lot of self-reporting in our area where you have access if you want to go dig and look for whatever you would like. But we try to focus people on still getting the right statistics that'll drive the action, not necessarily tell the story that we're trying to tell, right? Even if the story's bad, it drives the right action.
Great question. Do you have any other questions for Jesse? All right. Jesse will give you the $20 for asking the good question to look good in front of a CISO later. That'll be your consolation prize. All right. Thanks, Jesse.
Appreciate it, Tim.
All right. I have, round of applause.